In fact, let's welcome to the show Dr. Bryce Edwards from Victoria University. Bryce, good evening to you.
Hi, Pat.
It does feel a little bit strange me saying Victoria University, if I'm absolutely honest with you, because I think the last time we did something together, you were down this neck of the woods, and there's been a couple of years in the planning to get back together and say good day again.
Yes, no, I'm very excited to be on Big Hairy News.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm missing Dunedin. I used to really like living in Dunedin. I was there for 10 years and at the University of Otago, but no, now in the capital city where all the politics happens,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah, apparently. Well, that's good because that means you will be our go-to expert for talking political is what we're doing tonight. There's a couple of things we want to talk about, but we want to start it with a conversation around the Tauranga by-election. And I guess just get your thoughts on that at the moment to see what you thought about the Tauranga by-election. Were there any shocks in that Tauranga by-election? And then we can go on to this conversation. And I'll bring up a tweet that I put out on Saturday night. Let me bring this up onto the screen. And I don't think you can see us, can you, Bryce? So I'll make sure I will read it out to you. I put out a tweet on Saturday night that says, quote, Christopher Luxon MP said of Sam, now I've got to think of his surname, it's Uff like Huff, of Sam Uffindell's win in the Tauranga by-election, that the New Zealand National Party is, quote, back in business, and that, quote, New Zealanders are fed up with a Labour government that cannot get things done, end quote. So that's what Chris Luxon said on Saturday night. My point in the tweet was it's quite a lot to draw from winning a seat that the Labour Party hasn't held since 1935. In fact, even though Winston Peters was the circuit breaker in the middle there, he was basically a National Party. Well, he was a National Party MP and then he broke away. So a National Party MP or a former National Party MP has held that seat for, 80 years. So I don't know how much we can read into this, but maybe you've got a perspective on that you want to share with us about the win, first of all. What are your thoughts?
Look, I think you're generally right there. This is a very blue seat, and National was always going to win this. Although at the last 2020 election, of course, Labour did win actually the party vote. They got more of the party vote than National, and the candidate then for Labour actually got quite close to Simon Bridges. So, it wasn't totally impossible. By-elections can bring up unusual consequences, but no, it was always going to be Nationals. And I don't know that the leader should be as confident as he is being about this result because they got 11,000 votes. So National actually lost lots of votes. They didn't manage to get their own supporters out, and so their numbers slumped. They just didn't slump as much as Labour's. And so it was actually quite embarrassing, I think, for all concerned that the turnout was only about 41%. And this is one of the worst turnouts we've seen in a by-election when both Labour and National are contesting it. So And frankly, I'm not surprised the turnout was so low because it was a very boring by-election. No great big issues being debated. The candidates weren't actually that exciting. And I think the fact that National couldn't get out, the same levels of support even as in 2020 really should be a bit of a wake-up call for Luxon himself. It shows that there's not as much enthusiasm for the new Luxon-led party in the provinces as he might want. I mean, yes, it's a win, but not really quite of the magnitude that Luxon's national polling is doing at the moment throughout the country.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring up an article again. You probably can't see this, Bryce, but just to let you know what it is, it's from RNZ, and it talks about the Prime Minister's reaction to the win. And she said this quote: "I think actually for by-elections, it's very hard to read into them as someone who's run in a by-election myself, because it's simply not the same as in general elections. You don't often have every party represented, so I'm not quick to read into individual outcomes." One of the conversations I think they had with the Prime Minister on RNZ is that, Sam Uffindell's win by 6,000 votes is significant. But just speaking to what you were saying there, Bryce, and I'm bringing up the electoral results now from the weekend just gone. Uffindale got 11,000 votes, and Jan Tinity got basically 5,000 votes. So it's a $6,000 margin. $6,000 vote margin. It's probably a $100,000 vote margin if we're honest. We're talking about money in politics, but
Yes,
it's a 6,000 vote margin. So what I actually did though, out of interest for myself, because I like numbers, Bryce, is I went to the last election results. Yeah. And in the last election results, which we're looking at on screen right now, Simon Bridges got best part of 19,000 votes and Jan Tinity got the best part of 17,000 votes. Now, the Labour Party got 18,000 votes, as you say. The National Party got 14,000 votes. Now, that means 18,000 people voted for Simon Bridges, but only 14,000 of them voted for National. So there's a 4,000 vote discrepancy. Now, as we all know, and I'm saying this assuming that you're going to agree with me here, Bryce, a bit arrogant of me, the last election was a COVID election. And so numbers bled away from all other parties to give us a majority government for the first time ever. And this, to me, feels like, if you think about it, Jan Tinity was behind by 2,000 and 4,000 people didn't vote for National. That 4,000 plus 4,000. It's funny, that equals 6,000, and she lost by 6,000 votes. So I'm just saying that maybe this is more of a correction than it is actually a smattering by the National Party.
Yeah, I think it is a correction. And of course, nothing like the 2020 result was going to take place again. That was an aberration. And we're probably best to compare it with the 2017 election, the one before that. But nonetheless, just that both candidates, both Labour and National candidates, did struggle to get their people out, I think is it's a vote of no confidence in both those candidates. I mean, ACT did okay. They got I think it was about 2,000 votes, maybe 10% of the electorate. They'll be quite happy with that. You look a bit further down those numbers and you'll see Sue Gray. She's the leader of the Outdoors and Freedom Coalition Party. And she got about 5% of the vote. And so that was one of the more interesting parts of this by-election result, because, yes, it's well behind Ben Uffindale, Sam Uffindale, but she showed that maybe there is a bit of appetite there for, sort of a fringe anti-mandate, anti-vaccine party, because 5% is quite significant, I think, even though it's only about 1,000 votes.
Bryce, what other sort of indications from the past few months can we use to maybe, speculate a bit about how this election's going to go, if not the Tauranga by-election?
Well, I mean, those polls, the nationwide polls, do show that National is ahead of Labour. And I think we've got no reason to doubt those polls, that Labour's in a lot of trouble. And we have seen those numbers pretty much go back to what we were seeing before the start of 2020. So National just a little bit ahead of Labour. And basically, all that thanks that Labour got for saving the country in 2020 has kind of disappeared. We're back more to the people that want to see transformation are still with Labour, and those that think this government is incompetent or too anti-farmer, too anti-business are voting National. And even the minor parties haven't really recovered to their former glories. So I don't know. It's obviously going to be a close election next year. We've got no doubt of that. And it's just going to be a good old-fashioned left-right battle, I think, with maybe the Murray part in the middle of that. They can win at least one electorate.